Seeing horrific images in her dreams, a detective miraculously unearths a long-missing FBI agent.
A serial killer, long since inactive, has seemingly started his evil deeds once more, despite being confined to his home with an oxygen tank. Could he really be behind the new murders?
This is not happening.
Who do they belong to?
Special Agent Sam Chaney.
That name sounds familiar.
Chaney's a legend. 40 years before the Bureau started profiling violent criminals, Chaney and his partner Tim Ledbetter would work on their own time investigating what were then called stranger killings, what are now called serial murders. They disappeared while investigating 3 murders in Aubrey, Missouri in 1942. Chaney's body wasn't found until 2 days ago by a local detective, B.J. Morrow, a woman.
What's your interest in this case?
During their time, Chaney's and Ledbetter's ideas weren't very well received by their peers. Using psychology to solve a crime was something like,
Believing in the paranormal?
Exactly. But there's another mystery.
Which is?
Well, I'd like to know why this policewoman would suddenly drive her car into a field the size of Rhode Island and for no rhyme or reason dig up the bones of a man who's been missing for 50 years. I mean, unless there was a neon sign saying, dig here.
I guess that's why we're going to Aubrey.
Yes, and also I've always been intrigued by women named BJ.
Good evening, lovely listeners. Welcome back to the show. You are listening to This Is Not Happening, another X-Files podcast with me, Andrew, and also with Mike. Mike, how are you?
Me, Mike. I'm good.
And me, Andrew.
Me,
I
Mike.
don't know if I'm going to stick with that as a constant thing, but I liked it tonight. You are listening to us as we are about to review Season 2, Episode 12 of The X-Files, named Audrey. No, Aubrey. Are you sure
Aubrey.
it's not Audrey?
It's Aubrey.
So it's a type of cheese.
It's not Aubrey, it's Aubrey.
It's the sound you make when you go to that picnic and somebody's put out a spread and you're like, oh, Brie, awesome.
I have not been to one of these parties.
Oh,
but
I
I believe you.
They don't do that down your way? They don't do cheese?
Oh, Brie. Sweet.
It's a good time. Up in
Pass
Canada, we
me
do
that
that.
Merlot.
You're listening to the Picnic Podcast, where we discuss all forms of picnics and what you might bring with you. Well, this episode, which I am sure is called Aubrey, and I don't know where you would have heard any different, written by Sarah Charno, who has also written The Calusari, another terrible episode, but had the fortune to be directed by Rob Bowman. So at least it's going to look good.
And it starts off real quick.
It does. Gets right into it. Now, curiously, did you know Sarah Charno, who does not stay long as a staff writer on the show? She does some producing. She goes and becomes a bit of a producer in LA and such. That is doesn't stay in the writing circuit, but she is married, or at least at this time was married to Stu Charno, who was the killer in your favorite episode.
Oh, Stu Charno. Okay, Clyde?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't think I ever put that together. Interesting.
Well, you clearly didn't just scam the internet for all the background information that you could.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I will be honest. I did not scan the internet.
Well, let that be a lesson to you. And you didn't tell me about the retreads we had in the other one we recorded. So.
The only real retread is Miss Dawson
I know.
in Excelsis Day.
Too late.
And she
Too
is
late.
from
Doesn't
Deep
matter
Throat.
'cause
Deep
it's not
Throat.
in this
I mentioned her
episode.
in Deep Throat. I said she'll be back in Excelsis Day.
Hey, we're not talking about that other episode in this episode. In your episode that you hosted, you could have talked about it and you didn't. So clearly don't care.
Well, in this one, we see Terry O'Quinn, who shows up again in the movie as Darius Michaud.
But I'm glad you pointed that out now, as opposed to a really awkward moment later where we end the episode and having fully recorded it. And you're like, oh, damn, I didn't say where Terry O'Quinn shows up.
Shit.
I messed it up, man. Can we record it again? It only take 5 minutes. And I would have been like, no, man, you had your chance.
You had your chance.
This is why we're recording and everything. So the audience is going to hear all this bit. Oof, awkward.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So let's talk about Aubrey, which is an okay episode in my mind. Did you have any thoughts about it before before I describe it for people?
No, I We'll say it is better than the last episode we covered.
Well, that's usually the case.
That's where I'll start.
That's where you start. I like it. I think it's good for about 75%, and then it takes a nosedive near the end. But
Well, let's get into it.
let's see what happens here.
See what happens.
Let us adjust our expectations about Aubrey. Aubrey. Well, the setting is Aubrey, Missouri. We begin with a low-angle tracking shot through a busy police station. Detectives talk about a murder committed with a commonly available razor, and that there should be no mention of this sister business to the press. The tracking shot continues to the desk of a woman, Detective B.J. Morrow, looking back to the man in charge, Lieutenant Brian Tillman, now on the phone. The two share meaningful glances as he heads out. Later in his office, she comes in to ask for a word. This is the domestic world overlapping into their professional world, as it looks like an inter-office romance.
Bum, bum, bum.
But it's not going well, given that he's got this murder to investigate. And he's on the phone with the coroner when BJ passes him a note. She's pregnant. Everything stops as he takes this in and puts the coroner on hold. He gives her the address of a hotel where they can talk later tonight, and she leaves. It's later that night, and at the hotel, BJ is going to her room when she is overcome with pain and she's hearing voices. The headlights of an older model car turn on, and she begins to have a vision. An older car driving through a field. The image is blurry and shaken. A man drags a body wrapped in canvas from the back of a truck and buries it in the field. The images of the man digging are intercut with images of BJ digging on the ground with her hands, revealing a skeleton. She digs further, the expression on her face one of madness as she finds a metal badge, older style but clearly marked as the Federal Bureau of Investigation. A freaked-out BJ Morrow looks up and around as we fade to black. Did it get you, Mike? Were you intrigued? Were you enthralled? Were you ready to listen for more?
It's intriguing.
Yeah.
I like the setup. It's there's a lot happening. You know, BJ is telling us and her affair man that she's pregnant, and he's obviously married, so that's a problem. And then, yeah, she miraculously just digs up this body in the middle of nowhere for no reason.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm on board.
Well,
and I do want to say
there's a vision which is guiding her, I think.
Well,
is
yeah,
the
for sure.
implication, but
for sure. But my point was that, you know, it's very abrupt, very
objectively for no reason. Yeah.
Yeah. To come back to me not pointing out recurring actors and actresses, I just noticed right now the picture in Terry O'Quinn's office of him with his wife. Do you recognize the wife?
I do not.
Okay. Well, if it's who I think it is, and I'm pretty fucking positive just looking at it right now.
Yeah.
It is the main guest actor in Fearful Symmetry.
Oh.
The park ranger lady.
Oh. Well, you get it for a dime a dozen in
just like
Hollywood.
her.
So could be. Oh, I wonder if they're married in real life and that was just easy.
Ooh, it could be.
You can Google that while I tell us what happens next if you want.
Yes.
Okay. Cue the tippy-tappy keyboard sounds
Tip-tap.
as Mike Googles it. At the FBI headquarters, Mulder is looking at two sets of dental records. Scully arrives and, when asked by Mulder, confirms that they are likely a match. Mulder informs her and us that these teeth belong to the late Sam Chaney, a legend in the FBI who disappeared when investigating 3 murders in Aubrey, Missouri in 1942. Mulder is interested because Chaney and his partner, Ledbetter, were trendsetters in the science of behavioral profiling, but mainly because there's no reasonable way Detective Morrow could have happened to find Chaney's remains in a vast field. That, and Mulder quips he's always been fascinated by women named BJ. Har, 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 ho!
I can't believe they got away with that.
It is so funny and lowbrow.
5.
Yeah, I mean, Fox
I love
all
it.
over that, right?
Yeah, Terry O'Quinn is not married to that woman.
Oh,
he
okay.
is married to a younger woman. It looks like she not younger, just younger than him.
Yeah,
no,
legally younger.
Yes,
Okay.
Legally for sure.
Okay, well, interesting then that they would have had to hire a woman to be his
just in the picture.
Yeah, be the wife in the picture. It's, probably got paid SAG rates for that. That's nice.
I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, did you have any thoughts on this setup? I mean, it's pretty standard X-Files. He got
Pretty standard
himself.
so far.
Yeah, no, we're in so far.
Agents are on the case.
On the case. We cut to the crime scene in Aubrey. The field has been parceled off into different sites, and officers are digging in with shovels. Mulder and Scully are interviewing BJ, who explains that she witnessed a dog digging in the ground. This, in addition to the initial report that said she couldn't explain her actions. Mulder doesn't buy any of these facts, as they don't line up to explain how BJ found the body. Mulder asks BJ if she's ever had any clairvoyant experiences, which shocks her, but Lieutenant Tillman is convincingly skeptical. He shuts down Mulder's questions. The scene ends with them walking away. I, too, would be skeptical if I was in that moment, because, Mulder, can't you read people? Haven't you learned?
He has not learned his lesson.
He has not learned, and he will never learn. People need to just rise to his level. That's probably what he's thinking.
But he does have some good questions. Like,
They're all perfectly
how
obvious
the hell?
questions.
Yeah, how the hell did you notice a dog digging over here from
Yeah.
over at the motel?
Yeah. Nice one. And it was night too, right?
Yeah. He's on the ball.
She's just really good at her job. Come on.
His bullshit detector is going off.
Well, not enough to detect that there's an inter-office romance going on there.
Well, she's not lying about that yet.
No, it's true. She
just
hasn't been
hasn't
asked a
said it.
direct question.
She hasn't mentioned it. She hasn't lied.
true.
It's not lying if you don't
true.
mention it.
At the coroner's office, Scully examining the bones of Special Agent Cheney. She announces that the bones are in good condition. Mulder is going through Cheney's notes, echoing himself a little bit in what he's written, in what Cheney has written, and then goes over the file of the crime Cheney was investigating. 3 victims, all young women aged 25 to 30. The killer disabled the victims with a blow to the head. Cue Scully showing us the skull, which has an obvious blow to the head.
Crush.
They carved the word sister onto their chests and then painted the same word on the walls with their own blood. The victims bled to death, and the murderer was never found. Later, Scully has uploaded images of slashes on Cheney's bones back to Quantico to see if they're the result of a razor blade, giving her and Mulder a chance to theorize about BJ's presence in the field. Mulder confirms that the car was recently tuned, so her story is bogus. Scully figures out that BJ and Tillman are having an affair, which completely escaped Mulder's notice because he is, socially inept? Is that what we're
He's
saying?
just focused on her name.
Yeah.
That's all he can think about.
So, is that a nickname or?
Is it something you're good at?
Yeah,
Can I put you to the test?
because that's something that Mulder would say, right?
He would.
Well, we're going to the Motel Black because that's where Scully pegs that the affair was probably going to happen. But the computer helpfully interrupts the scene, and we get some lovely 90s high-tech forensics. You know how much I love this stuff.
This was tailor-made for you.
I mean, it could have been worse. We did not get 100% match blinking in green at any point.
I gotta be honest, I give this one a little bit more of a pass because it looks like it's cycling through similar strokes and it's like piecing it together, like it's identifying similar angles and similar, I don't know. It's still bullshit, I'm sure.
You are
but
such an apologist.
this one works for me, all right?
Okay.
I didn't say it's perfect.
It is certainly not perfect. I mean, there's a bit of CGI showing the rib cage, and the thrust of this scene is that the agents are trying to figure out what was slashed onto Cheney's chest, if anything. Meanwhile, BJ comes in to see if the agents have made any progress, but goes nauseous just looking at Cheney's bones. She has a vision of the attack that killed Cheney, and she leaves the room saying, "I'm not feeling well." And
I want to, before we blow past this scene, Rob Bowman again. With his shots and that beam of light on the skull of the skeleton just really gives a good dynamic to the scene.
Well,
I like the way that looks.
He's got a love affair with the razor blade anytime it shows up. Like he always has it positioned so that the light gleams off the blade.
Oh, yeah. That's big in this episode.
Oh, huge. And I mean, I think probably because the script calls it out a little bit when Linda Thibodeau is talking about, I never forget that razor blade and it glowed in the whatever. So, of course, every time we see a razor, it's got to glow.
I just like the way the skull's lit up.
It is pretty cool. Well, because she's a chick, Scully's going to go check in on BJ, calls her out for the affair with Tillman. And furthermore, that BJ's pregnant. I mean, I guess we're disguising morning sickness here. Is that the upshot of the scene?
Yes, that's, yeah.
Pretty tropey. Well, Scully is a hell of an investigator, at least when it comes to people, much better than Mulder. BJ relates that her mother only had one child, not only because of the morning sickness, but because of these nightmares. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God.
And Scully clocks is like, what do you mean nightmares? That's not a thing. Well, BJ describes the nightmare, which is eerily similar to the murders, but that's as far as it goes. Scully's observant, but she's not like paranormal observant, if you know what I mean.
She can't observe things that are being told to her. She can't piece that together. She can piece together an office romance and a baby that isn't showing yet.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I'd love it if Scully said, nightmares, eh? Well, I could prescribe you something for that, you know. Sure, it has nothing to do with what's going on here, but if it's troubling you, I got prescribing rights. Scully relays what she's learned to Mulder, and Mulder has continued the analysis of the slashes on Cheney's chest.
There's a 93% chance that this is the letter R. And if we lower the probability to 79%, we get the letters I, E, and R.
Well, it could be a word, or it could just be random slashes.
If we exhumed one of the slash killer's victims, we could do a CT scan to determine if the cuts were made by the same type of instrument.
Well, that means getting a court order. It could take a couple of days. Maybe we could find a relative who could speed up the process.
Excuse me?
I know what it says. On the rib cage, it spells brother.
You're right.
But before our agents can take her to the task of how she knew this, a little plot intervention as Lieutenant Tillman enters to ask, what's going on? Then he takes the agents to task for having the crime scene photos of the murder he's investigating. It's all very tense until the agents explain that these are photos from similar crimes that were committed over 50 years ago. Tillman is understandably shocked and relates that the murder he's investigating shares the same pattern.
I like when he looks back down at the file and then realizes the date in that comical,
Yeah.
you know, he brings it closer to the camera like,
Yeah.
what?
What? I'm sorry. You would know. This is not your file.
Right.
Wow.
Why is this
Since when
folder
did we
falling
use black
apart?
and white glossies in our crime scene photographs?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. It's a nice little bit of a scene. Well, as if the plot didn't need more pausing, another cop comes in, raising the stakes, says that there's been another murder.
There's another.
There's been another. Another what? Another auto theft? Happens here in Aubrey. We got to the scene of the crime, an empty swimming pool. The word sister scrawled in blood next to the body. The woman, covered in a shroud, is revealed, and a shocked BJ tells it's the woman in her dream.
Oh, my Lord.
Okay, all right.
So she's clairvoyant.
Yeah, and not at all guilty for what's going on here. Not at all. I'm trying to remember when I first saw this. Did I immediately go, is it BJ doing all the killing? She seems to know an awful lot about what's going on here.
How does she know all this stuff?
Yeah. We've already had an episode where sort of villain and antagonist share a mental link. So I didn't think they'd retread that plot. So I knew they had to make it different. But
They make it different, just not
They
super
do.
different.
after the commercial, we're in a park in Aubrey where BJ gives us some exposition about her childhood, her dad being a good cop. Mulder probes BJ on the dream she's been having. What did I say?
Nice choice of words.
Probes. Her name's
sorry.
BJ, man. You can't.
Mulder probes BJ. I'm sorry. My mind is in the gutter. Ladies and
Very.
gentlemen. I apologize.
We would never
Keep
get
going.
away with
I
this.
didn't mean to declass this.
That almost never happens here. Mulder probes the woman named BJ. Probably stands for Billie Jean. Would that make it
Whatever
would that make
helps
it
you
classier?
with
Yeah,
this.
right. Well, he wants to find out more about this dream she's been having, and she relates that in her dream, she's in a familiar house. A woman has been hurt. She looks in the mirror, and she sees a man's reflection. She describes the man and then draws from memory a picture she sees in the vision, something that looks like the Washington Monument, but with a big circular thing beside it. Mulder suggests it might be the Trilon and the Perisphere, symbols of the 1939 World's Fair in New York. But BJ's never been to New York and has no idea what these symbols mean, and frankly, Mulder has this encyclopedic knowledge of everything.
He pulls this one out of his ass.
He would be great on Jeopardy.
Ironic, because he was on Jeopardy.
Well, David Duchovny was on Jeopardy. Mulder was.
No, it was Mulder.
What?
I'm kidding.
Oh, shut up.
We have Fox Mulder here.
Yeah, we have Fox Mulder from the FBI. Why don't you tell us about your work, Mulder? I can't.
I chase aliens.
That's right. Oh, cue the speech from the movie where the bartender asks him what he does.
Yeah.
That would be great.
I'm the center of an international conspiracy to conceal the... Oh, fuck.
Well, speaking of the movie, I think now's a great time to reference the fact that Lieutenant Ben Tillman, after his career is burned to the ground by this relationship he's got with BJ Morrow, goes into WITSEC, maybe reinvents himself, gets a new name as...
He reinvents himself, all right.
What is his name in the movie?
Darius Michaud.
Darius Michaud.
This is
sounds
the name
like a
he's
made-up
chosen
name
for
if ever there
himself.
was one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's him, it's Alex Krycek, who was once Michael, and it is Gary Grubbs, who is the main detective in Our Town later this season.
He goes into the fire business.
He goes into fire chief business,
Yeah.
and he fails at that as well.
Lovely number of retreads in the movie. But that is not what we're talking about tonight. BJ reviews old mugshots from the 40s, seeing if she can find the man in the reflection. Tillman comes in, confused by what she's looking at, but ultimately not interested because he's a dick. He suggests that he can go with her to the appointment. You know, that conversation that happened off screen where we both agreed, pointing me, pointing you, that you would get an abortion is the subtext. He suggests that he can go with her to the appointment. He clearly does not want to be a daddy. Probably because he's married. I think that is established by the
It's
photo.
got something to do with it.
It's probably an issue, yeah. But she indicates that she's not sure she wants an abortion. Tillman's ticked. BJ ignores him as she finds the mugshot of the man she described to Mulder. Man with some weird acne on his face or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that rash is.
Some weird rash.
We cut to Mulder and Scully in a car, driving to interview Harry Coakley, the man in BJ's mugshot. Coakley lives in Gainesville, Nebraska, since he was released from prison in 1993. Coakley was convicted of the rape and attempted murder of Linda Thibodeau. He carved the word sister on Linda's chest, but was able to escape and get help from a neighbor. I'm just realizing that sounds like Harry was able to escape
to
and get help from a neighbor.
Oh, man.
To clarify, he did the bad
The neighbor
stuff.
chipped in and
Linda
held her
was
down.
able to escape and get help from a neighbor, just in case
Yes.
that was not clear. The police never made the connection to the 1942 homicides, and anyway, it doesn't explain BJ's connection to the story. Scully suggests it could be cryptamnesia, which I think is her just trying to sound smart. She has consciously forgotten about the information of the crimes, is what Scully is positing, that she knew it and now it's coming back in sort of flashbacks or whatever. She posits maybe her father as a cop discussed information about the case in front of a young BJ Morrow. And good for you, Scully, for trying to find a logical, rational reason for what's happening. This is your role. We're accustomed to you being in it. Thank you very much. But
This is how you Scully.
Mulder doesn't really go for it, does he?
No.
Not his style.
There's something more mysterious at play here.
Yeah. At this point, it is worth noting that Aubrey, Missouri, and Gainesville, Nebraska are not real, actual places.
What?
I know. It's like the writers have invented these places.
Weird.
But as somebody who does not know anything about the geography of the United States of America, given I do not live there, apparently Google Maps tells me Nebraska and Missouri do share a border.
Okay, yeah, that's
yeah.
correct.
Does it check out? Okay. So it's possible that they're a short car ride away, which will become important later.
It would have to be on the border.
It would have to be like within 50 clicks, you know.
Yes.
Just saying. So the agents drive down a rickety country road and arrive at a rickety country home, the home of Harry Coakley, an elderly man, wheeling in an oxygen tank, greets them at the door, and settles back into his easy chair with a cigarette. Classy move episode, oxygen tank, and cigarette.
With cigarettes.
It's like he's living on the edge. That alone should convince us he's a bad guy, right?
Yeah. Well, that and the way he was lit in his first scene, when he answers the door.
Oh, God.
Good Lord.
Just the eye sockets and the grossness on his face. Yeah. What do you want? Yeah, well, he's not a good guy because he's going to get creepier. Scully recounts the Aubrey murders and suggests the facts of his conviction are similar. Coakley tells them about his time in prison, that he took some pills, served his time, and that he's better now. Mulder asks if he ever met Special Agent Cheney, which he denies. He's also a bit incredulous at the idea that he might have left the house 2 nights ago. Coakley is definitely a creepy, shady character. Twice he calls Scully little sister, which is all we need to know.
Yeah.
No, he is guilty as hell.
I don't think he's cured.
No,
he just can't move around.
He knows that they're going to have a devil of a time proving anything at this point.
Right.
The agents leave. We cut back to BJ's bedroom. It's a dark and stormy night. BJ is in bed, sleeping. Headlights are seen through the window, and again we see the grille of an older model truck. We see BJ's dream again, a razor slashing downward. She wakes up, screaming, pointing her gun at shadows. She notices there is blood on her forehead, on her hands, her chest. Confused, she goes to the bathroom to clean up, and we see the word sister has been carved into her chest. In a flash of lightning, we see the reflection of the young Coakley in a mirror, but when she turns around, he's not there. Back into the dream, we see a crowbar digging up a floorboard. Intercut with scenes from the past, a body being deposited into the basement, we see BJ breaking in to those same floorboards. Soon enough, Tillman, Mulder, and Scully arrive. This is not BJ's house. She has broken in and is digging furiously into the cellar. Tillman sees BJ's injuries and takes her to the hospital, while Mulder looks into the area BJ was digging and pulls out an old sack filled with bones.
Bones.
Big climax number 2. What do you think of this scene, Mike? There's a lot of stuff that happens in this one.
A lot of stuff happening, and I don't know, she's not acknowledging her wound enough for me. I know it's nothing for the story, but I don't know. The first thing she does when she realizes she has sister carved on her chest is wet a towel and clean off her face.
Yeah.
I'm like, wouldn't you try to stop the bleeding or from your chest? I don't know.
It is the note I have here as well. I'm really not good with the idea that she has woken up and is not aware of a grisly carving being done to her chest. I'm sorry. I know that they want a spooky reveal in the mirror, but that must be incredibly painful.
Yeah, why the hell is my chest burning right now?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and there's blood on my forehead. I guess I could connect the dots, but the thing that saves it is if the editing made it a bit more spectral, like if it was all a dream sequence and we got the sense that she was really out of it. But it's cut very matter-of-factly, in a way to make us think that maybe this is reality. She's woken up and Coakley is there and she sees this happening and it's all very real. That doesn't make it work, though, because it doesn't make sense. And then she goes crazy and goes over to this other house. So she's able to drive there. I mean, there's issues with how BJ gets around to do the things she's going to do that are never explained. I don't need it to be explained, but if she's not in her right mind, then how does she do the obvious things she needs to do to affect the crimes that she does?
Right.
So my general issue. And this is where the episode starts to go a little downhill for me. But after the commercial, we're at the hospital and the agents visit BJ. She confirms that Coakley attacked her, that he must have slashed her while she was asleep. Definitely a heavy sleeper.
To have that carved on your chest.
Just hold still.
Hold still.
Yeah. She says she saw his reflection in the mirror, that he looked just like his mugshot, and Mulder catches that the photo is of a young man, which BJ waves away. Must have been him. I saw him. Scully gets Tillman to pick up Coakley.
Get old Coakley over here.
Get old Coakley. We cut to Coakley being interrogated by Tillman. It is not going well. It's obviously the elder Coakley makes a poor suspect, but Tillman's got it out for him. Make sure that you serve more time or something. It's like, it's not really police procedure there.
I don't know if that's how that works.
I'm just going to find me some facts to prove you did it. The scene ends with Coakley asking for a lawyer, and frankly, I see all the makings of a good civil suit.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, really?
Harassment?
Yeah. I did my time. I took them pills.
Time.
Later on, Scully visits Mulder with test results on blood found under the nails of one of the recent victims. A match for Coakley's blood. So, for Scully, this is case closed. Mulder is skeptical, though. Why let BJ live? There's only one precedent for that. Linda Thibodeau survived in 1945, so that is where we're going next.
I know this goes back a long way, Mrs. Thibodeau, but could you tell us what happened the night Harry Coakley attacked you?
It happened up there on the landing. I remember how the light from the window bounced off the razor. It had an ivory handle. He kept saying, "Someone's got to take the blame, little sister, and it isn't going to be me." They tried to explain at the trial how his father used to beat him, and how he was the only son in a family of 5 daughters, and how he was brutally punished for everything wrong that happened. But if you ask me, that man was born evil.
No children?
No, none.
Mrs. Thibodeau, our records show that you recuperated from your injuries within 2 months. But 9 months later, you checked back into the hospital.
Well, I had complications.
What happened to the child? Coakley's child.
Martin used to say not to blame the child, that it was just a little thing, an innocent. But it was the spawn of evil. I couldn't keep it in this house. The memory of him.
Mrs. Thibodeau?
I gave the baby to an adoption agency. Baby. They're almost 50 now.
She goes on to be like, oh, when you see him, you tell him, well, maybe not. So clearly she's got some mixed feelings about this baby.
Yeah. This is where things start to get weird.
Quick math. How old do you think BJ Morrow is?
She looks like she's in her 40s.
She looks pretty old, eh?
Yeah.
And
doesn't quite add up.
Yeah.
Either that, and no offense to the actress. If she truly is in her 30s.
It's a rough 30s.
It's a rough 30s.
Yeah. No, she looks a little bit on the, let's just say that if good old baby adoptee, who will end up learning is BJ's father, but if they are connected, if BJ is in fact Mrs. T's granddaughter, then there's a young fathering going on.
That is a young father. Yeah. We'll just say he had her when he was 18.
I like it. That works. They did that in those days.
You never know.
Later on, Scully and Mulder share a motel room. Oh, there is shipper material in this episode. I was a little bit facetious earlier when I made that comment on Facebook, but maybe a little bit of shipper material. What do you think?
I don't know.
Well, they're in the same hotel room. I mean, next thing you know, they're going to be touching each other's necklaces.
Yes.
Scully relates what she's learned about the bones they found. They belong to Agent Ledbetter, Sam Chaney's partner. She thinks they have enough to nail Coakley, but Mulder, good old Mulder's got his doubts. BJ saw a younger man during the night of her attack. Perhaps it was Coakley's grandson. Mulder asks if Danny has gotten the results of the adoption records back, and when Scully calls to follow up, we learn Danny's last name, Valadeo.
Valadeo.
Danny Valadeo.
But does he have a voice yet?
No. No.
Damn.
Mulder natters on about how biological traits can get passed down from generation to generation, and we get into a bit about nature versus nurture. Mercifully, it's cut short by Danny providing the info to Scully. We learn that Mrs. T's son was Raymond Morrow, BJ's father. Mulder pieces together that BJ is responsible for the murders, suggesting that Coakley's murderous impulses have been passed on to his granddaughter. Scully doesn't really buy it, but does buy that if it's true, Mrs. T might be in danger. To which I ask, why do we end with Mrs. T? Why wouldn't BJ have started with Mrs. T?
Because she's building up her murder meter, and she has to fully remember what's happening.
Fair enough.
What the original victim.
So this is like a video game. After. This is a video game boss fight?
Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, gotcha.
Now I remember who I'm supposed to attack.
I gotcha. That works. We cut to Mrs. T's house, where she's doing some pretty thorough household chores, including cleaning the stove. The iron's been left out, which makes for a pretty effective club, and we see a hand reach in to take it and get it into a clubbing stance. Mrs. T is confronted by a scary-looking BJ, complete with facial scars. The transformation into Coakley the Younger seems to be complete. BJ growls that someone's got to take the blame, little sister, etc., which prompts Mrs. T to defend herself. I love that image.
Do you think she pities the fool?
She does pity the fool that messes with her. Well, she carries on because she splashes ammonia on BJ's face, which she recovers from remarkably quickly. Go ahead, try that on yourself and see what happens. Then Mrs. T goes on to grab a gun from the drawer and has zero effectiveness as a threat because BJ continues to advance, heedless to the danger. And you think that Mrs. T is actually quite capable of defending herself when she realizes, in fact, BJ is her granddaughter. And that means she can't pull the trigger. Because family.
Family, man.
BJ sees the photo of the World's Fair, and we do have a moment where we see her realizing what's happening to her, but ultimately it's not enough to overcome the effect her genes are having on her. And we end the scene with the razor uplifted, shone with the light, prepared to strike. There's a scream. We fade to well,
commercial.
This is the end of Mrs. T, I guess, eh? Is that what we're implying there?
This poor woman.
I know, right?
I mean, she's gone all these years.
Yeah.
Recovering from this traumatic event.
And
only to have it happen again.
In the exact same place.
Same place. Same manner.
Brutal.
Yeah.
The agents screech to a halt outside Mrs. T's house and barge in to find she's unharmed. BJ was going to strike, but seemingly changed her mind and left.
No.
Mulder calls in and puts out an APB on BJ, and Scully thinks that BJ is going to go after Tillman. However, Mulder thinks that BJ will go after Coakley. Because they can't possibly work as a team, Mulder leaves Mrs. T in the tender care of Scully and goes to check in on Coakley, who's not answering his phone. And in my version of what happens next, we have a scene at Coakley's house, phone ringing in the background, and he's laughing his axe off, watching Hee Haw with the volume blasting on the TV.
Oh my God.
That'd be great.
That'd be great.
Coakley's not answering this phone. I gotta check it out. Can't be any other reason, but there must be a villain there about to kill him. Back at Police HQ, Tillman angrily confronts Scully, incredulous to the idea that BJ has attacked Mrs. T. However, Mrs. T shuts it down with a simple, "It's true. It happened." And you cannot argue with an older lady.
You can't. I mean, just her saying it happened.
I mean, they all know.
Yeah.
Old ladies don't lie. Over at the Coakley Palace, Coakley is in fact watching a movie. But the volume is not blasting. It's his girl Friday. He goes in to strap himself back to his oxygen supply, only to find that the line has been cut. hears steps walking around the house, sees a shadow in the hall, pulls out his straight razor as he goes in to investigate. Mulder arrives, having made the long drive from Missouri to Nebraska. Very short, apparently. Rushes to see if Coakley's all right. Back inside, Coakley continues in confrontation with BJ, who has now appeared to threaten him with her own straight razor. She taunts him in a throaty voice. "How does it feel to be on the other side of the razor, brother?" Slashes out at him. He retreats into a corner as she towers over him, saying, "You know the rules. This doesn't stop till you're dead." And she slashes again as Coakley screams, but apparently not loud enough that Mulder might actually hear the screaming. No. Speaking of Mulder, he slowly clears the rooms of the house until he reaches Coakley's body, bleeding out on the floor. BJ comes at him with a fire extinguisher and cleans his clock, giving him a NFL-level concussion.
Ouch.
I would imagine. BJ moves in for the kill, saying, "This time you'll stay dead," as Mulder appears to her as Sam Chaney. BJ's razor is at Mulder's neck when, in the nick of time, Scully and Tillman arrive with their guns drawn. Meanwhile, Coakley wheezes and expires, confirmed by Dr. Scully. And that seems to have a magic effect on BJ. She lowers her razor blade and is whisked away by a caring Tillman and will eventually be thrown into a padded cell.
Which incidentally works out great for him.
Yep. In our denouement, Scully ties a bow on it with some crafty exposition. Apparently there was a mutator gene that activated previously dormant, yada, yada, yada. She's carrying the spawn of Satan in her belly, and the writer has set themselves up for a sequel. Thankfully, that never happens. Cut to credits. We made it, Mike. This episode turned south real fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's still enjoyable enough for me. I think the
journey is worth the stretch. It's just,
yeah.
I
think the idea of the whole genetic memory thing is intriguing enough. The reveal is that, obviously she's the granddaughter of Coakley, a serial killer, and she's reliving the horrors he inflicted on other people. It's interesting. Whether or not it's flawless is... Well, it's not up for debate. It's not flawless.
Oh, it's flawed, for sure.
Yeah, it's flawed. I do enjoy the episode for the most part, like you. I think it's a lot of it has to do with the acting. I think they do a pretty good job with their guests in this one. And the directing. I think there's a lot of interesting shots for me, especially that tracking shot in the beginning where they're weaving in and out of the police office.
I'm surprised they don't do more of that, though, right? Like, it's a one-shot pony to do that
it's
scene.
Got tastes of Bowman's expertise.
It's true. He's
sprinkled throughout.
He's trying something new in that little bit. I just don't get they don't learn their lesson about making your female lead turn into a man with the grovelly voice. Because that comes back to haunt them in Schizogyny.
Well, it's better here.
It is marginally better here, to be sure.
Yeah.
But I don't buy, it's like a little bit of turning it to 11. And I know that's usually a script thing with Howard Gordon, but in this case, like, it's not enough that she psychically turns into Coakley. She has to physically turn into Coakley, so the rash comes out.
Yeah, because she got sprayed with the ammonia. She has a rash.
No, she had that rash before the ammonia.
She did, but I think it was amplified. I don't know.
Okay.
It just looked like it was burning more or something.
Not enough to make her fall down and ride the pain.
Not enough to completely immobilize her like it probably should have.
I would be on the ground crying if somebody threw ammonia in my eyes. Like, game over, man.
Game over.
Call the cops.
Murder
you win.
failed.
Yeah. I mean, Mrs.
failed.
T is a tough old broad, and she proved it. Like, oh, you want a piece of this? Ammonia in the eyes. Boom.
I got ammonia in the eyes and a revolver.
I'm going to go grab my 38 now and blow your fucking head off. I mean, Jesus. Like, that is the perfect example of a woman who said, never again.
Never again.
It's not going to happen, but blown by the fact that granddaughter, I guess, gotta love you despite this.
She still gets foiled.
Mike, why don't you give me your final thoughts of the episode? We nattered on enough about it.
I mean, it's not too far off from what I was just saying a few minutes ago. I think it's just good enough to not be a skip for me. I do enjoy it, namely, and it's not fair, but namely for Terry O'Quinn. I always enjoy him.
Yeah.
He's always fun to watch in just about anything he does. So it bumps this episode up unfairly, but it does. So BJ does a good job. I like her. Coakley's sufficiently creepy.
He's well cast for it, for sure.
Very well cast.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying a few minutes ago, where I think the guest stars in this episode elevate the episode a little bit for me. And it makes it more palatable when the episode itself falters. And then again, Bowman's camera work here and there. There's some majestic stuff sprinkled in with the tracking shot at the beginning, and then the spotlight on the skull, that kind of contrasting imagery that he's got going on at times I really like. So
yeah,
this one's fun enough, and it makes just enough sense to where it doesn't completely lose me. I know it does probably for you, which is fair. It's not a perfect episode, but I enjoy it.
I mean, it didn't... I think probably what killed it for me was the ammonia in the eyes. Like at that point,
not a chance.
Yeah, at that point, because I mean, I've accidentally got some in my eyes, accidentally a little bit, and that's just like you're done. So you're done. She got it full on in the face, and I'm thinking, okay, I know the X-Files writes their villains so they can take like a sniper rifle shot to the chest and then walk away and abduct Agent Scully, but so they're generally superhuman, but I don't know, they try and make it realistic so that when they go off the reservation, it really does draw attention to itself.
Mm-hmm. And that's fair. I mean, ammonia in the eyes is immobilizing.
Yeah.
Or should be.
Well, and the other big thing is just that BJ Morrow can do all of these things and, kill two women and, then get to a point where she can attack Thibodeau and then attack Coakley. And we don't see any, she's very able to compartmentalize it, like, I'm just fine. I'm a detective. I'm under a bit of stress because I'm pregnant and in this affair. But
I think for me, the biggest unbelievable thing for me is that she's doing all these terrible things with zero evidence left behind.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, how are you getting home and cleaning yourself up to the point where you don't know that something has happened?
Yeah.
That's a little too unbelievable for me. So I'm definitely with you there.
I'm happy, though, that, and again, this is a case of what do the agents actually do? So they do give the agents something in the form of Scully is able to get the blood from underneath the victim's nails, and they do a blood test, and they find out that it's probably Coakley. Yes, it points them in the wrong direction, but ultimately they're able to put the pieces together and figure out that it is.
They figure it out eventually.
So, they do stuff. They stop a killer, not before she does kill Coakley.
She kills 3 people.
Yeah, so
and almost kills the 4th.
Slow clap, I guess, but I think the real Achilles heel is that the death of Coakley is a switch that turns off the evil in BJ.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, the script's painted itself in a corner because in no way would Fox allow the writers to kill off a pregnant policewoman with the name of BJ, no matter how evil she may be.
Well, yeah, they had to keep her alive.
Because really, it is not beyond the episode, like episodes that we've seen in the past, that they blow away a suspect who is about to do harm to another agent. Right. Like literally not 4 episodes ago in, was it Blood? I guess more than 4 now. But, when in Blood, Mrs. Robertson is about to stab Mulder and she gets shot by another policeman. So, literally, BJ is just lucky she didn't get her head blown off here.
Get blown away.
Blown away. A credit, though, to Deborah Strang. She's the actor that played.
She does a good job.
She does a good job. Convincingly torn asunder by the fact that she's in this affair with Tillman. And
I think, yeah, she does a good job. Every guest in this episode does a great job.
Yep.
with their characters.
As always, it's the script. And so when we have a really good script, it's nice. You know, it's nice to have that.
Mm-hmm.
They can't all be
Very
good,
much.
though.
Again, I give this episode more credit. I just think it works for me.
Yeah.
Enough. So that's all I got to say for it.
Okay, cool. I mean, I think I'm
Not
harsher.
great, not terrible.
I'm a harsher critic.
Oh, for sure.
Than you are. You're just in love with all things X-Files.
I'm just a little fairer than you, sir.
That's definitely the case. And the Russian judge and the figure skating championships.
Oh, God.
Well, I think that is enough for us on the review of Aubrey. Thank you, lovely listeners, for coming along with us on this trip down memory lane. And if you ever find yourselves in that little corner of Missouri, I hope that you don't have the misfortune of staying at the Motel Black, because there are weird things lurking down under there in the cellar.
Don't dig up FBI agents in the field.
Yeah, try not to do that, because that'll ruin your vacation. And then you'll have to go to Gainesville, Nebraska.
No one wants to go to Nebraska.
Nobody does.
We barely want to be in Missouri. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please rate and review on your podcast app of choice. Andrew and I would be eternally grateful to you fine people for helping us expand and get the word out. Also, we've got a killer group on Facebook. Feel free to join in on the discussion at facebook.com/groups/thisisnothappeningpod and become an official member of the syndicate. We do polls and we have questions for every episode to give you guys the opportunity to chime in and possibly let your voice be heard on our recordings. And please join us on our new Twitter at tinhxfilespod, no dash, to stay up to date on everything, moment to moment. Thank you, and remember, don't stop swimming.